Citizens of Africa, the more we deep dive into these snippets of African history, the more I'm disturbed because it increasingly feels like a post-independent Africa that was set up for success initially has over the years converted into an experiment that was doomed for failure. Say what you will about our early pre-independence and newly independent leaderships across the continent, particularly through the late 50s into the 60s and the early 70s. They had their faults, like every human being would. But it cannot be denied that a majority of these people were genuine visionaries who had a legitimate dream for a continent that had already experienced too much, and hopes and aspirations about a future that was going to match the present and the futures of the other continents around us, up to and including the one that was chiefly responsible for meting out the misery that it did on the African people. Case in point, June 11, 1974, the Organization of African Unity, the OAU, which I talk about repeatedly, established the African Development Bank. The vision behind this bank was to be a fully autonomous, independent, Pan-African financial institution that would provide funding, opportunities, financial advice, credit, and everything that a bank of its stature would do for nations under its sphere of interest. It essentially was to be a bank that would rival the vultures that eventually came to bite and pick at the carcass of a dying, seemingly, Africa, talking about the Brethren Woods institutions. Whatever became of the OAU and the dreams of the visionaries should be a case study. But it should also be a warning and a living example of what greed can do to a people who quickly forget where they came from and are completely blind to where they are going. Have an Africa-loving day, and I mean genuinely Africa-loving. Africa is the soil and the people. The flags and the anthems, those are just symbols. May we not fall into the mistake of conflating symbolism with sovereignty. Have a sovereign Africa-loving day. And let's keep following for more snippets of African history, which you will not find, especially in cases like this, in your textbooks anywhere.